The other day, I thought to myself, I was thinking, let's check the candle stores that I have here in the house, how many candles I have to see if I'll be okay for winter. Because part of my prepping situation is having candles in case there's no electricity and no way to have power. I can still not only have light, but I can have a little bit of heat. And if you do it properly, you can utilize your candles so that you can get a fair amount of heat out of them. So I go into my cupboards where I store the candles, and I'm like, And mind you, I am only thinking about this. I'm not talking to anybody out loud. I'm not saying it on the phone or in a chat room or anything. I'm merely thinking it to myself when I'm looking over my stores of candles, and I'm like, I need candles this winter. I better go buy some real soon. Well, this is all in my head, as I said. Maybe the next hour, maybe 2 hours, I don't know how much time in between, I see an ad for candles. And not just any old candles, ladies and gentlemen, but the specific candles I prefer. And I was like, okay, now they're able to get inside my brain to find ways to advertise to me. It would be the first time I've thought this, and many channels have discussed this, but it was the most glaring and apparent time that this had happened. And I had to tell a friend, I was like, whoa. And what was even crazier than that, ladies and gentlemen, because this is in my head now, I might as well go buy some candles. So while I was at the local grocery store, I went down the candle aisle. And you won't believe it, but my specific candles were on sale. And I was like, okay, I'm not buying candles, because now I think they put that into my head. They told me to go get the candles. I know that sounds crazy, ladies and gentlemen. And even I'm like, whoa, but I wasn't going to give the powers that be, if they hold that kind of power over us, which there's a lot of speculation they do. We already know that they have a way of using the algorithms to find out how to advertise through your chat and your phone and all that. But literally, I had only thought about this, and my specific candles were not only the ones that came up in the ad, but they were on sale. What are the odds of that happening just coincidentally? I really don't know. But it got me thinking, theory crafting, that if what would be the way that these people, these advertising companies, how would they be able to know what's in your head? And the only thing I could think of was your phone or your Wi-Fi. And I'm just speculating here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not trying to go off the deep end or anything. It was just the weirdest coincidence I had ever had when it pertained to this type of thing, where in the past I had talked about specific things with a friend and an ad would come up. Maybe I brought up like a certain pizza brand or something and the ad would come up. So I already knew these things happened because, you would chat with them or whatever, and there was a way for the algorithms to figure that out. But now I just thought about it. And as you can see, I'm a little bewildered over it, because I'm like, this ain't cool that I now think that they can just tap in to figure out what I want. Like they can read their mind. How could they read your mind? And like I said, Wi-Fi or phone are the only ways I could ever imagine. Some kind of wireless frequency. That's the only thing I could ever imagine. And I didn't get the poker, so those people out there that think, oh, they just turned you on with the... No, I didn't get the poker. So have you, ladies and gentlemen, ever experienced it on that level? I know many of you have experienced it on the more overt level where it's in your chat or in a text conversation or something like that. But has there ever been an ad that has come up when you had just thought about it yourself? And if they have these capabilities, then those people who are so concerned with the poker being the connection in, I don't see how that would improve the situation. Maybe it would be a better antennae. I'm not sure. Maybe it would give you direct biometrics that the wireless source cannot. And I'm not of the belief in particular that those things that a lot of people are talking about, and I've seen some of the evidence and some of it's really freaky. These doctors who, especially the lady, I can't remember her name, but who had these pictures of what was in the vials and it looked like something out of War of the Worlds. It was crazy. I don't know what those pictures could have been doctored for all I know. I'm not telling you to believe any of that or disbelieve it. But if you're of the belief that they're injecting you with something so that they can better be connected with you, I don't see how that would matter if they just need to read your brain. Because why would they care about your other vitals? That's just me speculating again, ladies and gentlemen. We don't want the YouTube gods to be upset. This is all speculation. I had a weird coincidence, strange happening in my life, and I'm sitting here talking with my friends, and maybe my friends have advice out there in the netherworld. Out there in the world, do you have advice for maybe how we can prevent these things? Because I'm actually thinking of just re-hardwiring back into the system and not using wireless ever again. And my system is extremely old. So I'm not sure if that has any relations, or maybe they just got lucky on a certain day because my grocery store just happened to have the sale going on, and I just randomly thought at the same time all that other stuff was going on. Could be as simple as that. While we're on the subject of being at the grocery store, I did go around and check out the prices and the supply. And I will say, as far as the things that I normally eat, and I'm a big turkey and chicken guy. The chicken's up a little. Turkey's not too bad. The turkey hasn't changed a lot, although it's been hard to find whole turkeys or just the turkey breast with the bone in, so I could put in my crock pot. Those have been difficult to find, and I'm not sure why that is. Of course, the supply chain is broken, but I'm still trying to figure out why the domestic supply chain, especially since we're hearing we're not exporting anything at this time, why the interior supply chain would be broken. Because the turkey ranchers, growers, I guess they're turkey ranchers, why would they have had less turkeys this year to send out to market for us to consume? That makes no sense. I don't believe we import turkeys from like China or something. So when I think about the domestic products that are put in our grocery stores, like apples. There should be no shortage of apples whatsoever, unless there's weather-related issues. But Washington produces apples, Michigan produces apples, and nothing was that strange or out of the ordinary weather-wise to change that. So why is the domestic product production down as well? That is not a question I have been able to get answered. And if the imports are down for some reason, or as we see, they're caught up in transit, we'll call it, because they're stuck out waiting to unload, then what's going on with the domestic product? That's another question that I do you have an answer to that, ladies and gentlemen? Because I really don't. Why would, say, cheese have a shortage at all, if there is any cheese shortages? Now, we heard that they were destroying certain animals and products, food products. There was just a recall on pork products, not because the meat was bad, but just because they're recalling it. Why are they cutting the food supply? Why is the food supply straining, ladies and gentlemen? Because I went out the other day during the rush hours and it was packed out there. So we're full of people. But apparently everybody's hiring because nobody's working. The food chain is strained, yet everybody's still there. Something doesn't add up right, ladies and gentlemen. And I know I diverged from the first topic, but that's what I do. I venture off and I'm over here and I'm over there. But if there's really a food supply chain issue, then why, because of imports, then why is it still taking place on the domestic products as well? Especially since we're not, it appears we're not anyways, exporting anything. So if we're not exporting anything, we should have an abundance of things like beef and apples and anything else that is grown or developed here in the United States. Boggles the mind, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we're going to get on out of here. Stay tuned on the YouTube channel because we'll have a bonus video coming out. And it's that one I was telling you about in the last broadcast about the Baldwin situation. I know I'm a little bit behind, but you might find it interesting, so keep an eye out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you. Thanks for watching.